Cause check. Yo, y'all know what it is.
It's the GOAT.
And I am.
Cut, you killing them.
And we about to get it popping.
It's the GOAT. Cut, you killing them.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Man, it forget to be aberration. 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 Man, it forget to be aberration.
Exes ain't the same no more. Don't give a fuck about they name no more.
Man, it forget to be aberration. 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 I'm from the hood. I'm still waking up my people.
That's right.
When it comes to fashion, the whole world wanna be like us. How you gonna refute that? How? Man, it forget to be aberration. 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 When it comes to music, the whole world wanna be like us.
Yep. Let me turn this down. Yeah. We here.
Cut.
My brother.
It's the GOAT. DJ Kuttack Talk Mix Show.
That's right.
We're in the building, man. Live and direct, y'all. They're like, is this live? Hell yeah, it's live.
That's right.
The marathon
That's
will
right.
never end. Yeah.
This right here is the spiritual war called hip hop. This is a little series I'm gonna delve into with the God Chief. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Bishop Larry Elders and the Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group on YouTube. Please subscribe to Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group. That's Bishop Larry Elders, man. You know what I'm saying? He went in real hard. And we're going to go ahead and expound on this on a little series called The Spiritual War called Hip Hop. What up, Drake Cos? Yeah, we doing a little something different, man. You know, we doing a little something different, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be on this. You know, there's a lot of things going on with our culture, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to bring that shit to the people. Let me make
Drake Hobbs music in the building. Peace and God.
That's right. Hey man, always supporting, man, no doubt.
That's right.
Shout out to Drake Hobbs music. That's right.
We support. Shout out to Channel 7 too, man. Shout out to the city, man. Great city, Chicago. Salute.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do this a little different. We at the liquor store, of course. But the way we're going to present this stuff, we're going to present it on my little TV screen right here and see if we can get away with some copyright strikes if this stuff helps. You see that there, G? What you think about that? You see that?
Super little, man.
Yeah, I know it's super little. It's super little. I'll be able to, on this particular show, that's all good. You know what I'm saying? You'll see why it's just Larry Elders, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all know what he look like.
Future events, we'll be able to make that.
No shoplifting.
Cover up the whole screen. That shit's dope, though.
Violence will be prosecuted.
We trying to find ways of getting around the thing. So nigga,
hey,
let me go ahead.
Tap in, guys.
You know it.
Yeah, man. Mo Can. Boogeyman, what up, though?
You know what I'm saying? Let me get this here trust talk going. And we'll get it cracking like this. And I may make it a little bit. I may make it bigger. But Yeah, now we're getting into it. Let me go on and remove this so we can get on popping. Ooh, what that look like? Hey. Let's go. We're going to get into Bishop Larry Elders. Let me turn this music down just a little bit. Yeah, we don't want to overshadow the Bishop. Shout out to once again. Shout out to Bishop Larry Elders and the Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group on YouTube. Shout out to them. The elder be dropping some shit for real. So I'm gonna let him go on and get busy. Peace.
Welcome back to all of the students of our Lord and Savior, Yeshua the Christ. I do deeply apologize, students, for the lateness. We normally don't start this late. And first of all, I am battling the flu, and I need your prayers tonight. Last night, my temperature was 100.4, okay? And it's down a little bit today, but I had a online conference meeting with two of my doctors in New York, and they said, Bishop, you're going to have to shut it down like you did last year for at least a week. So pray for me tonight. My voice may sound a little hoarse, and I do deeply apologize for the lateness because I know it's late there on the East Coast, okay? And pray for me tonight that the Lord will continue to touch my body. Because your bishop, I work so hard. I'm on some radio or pod show every other day somewhere from around the world, and going to some event here in Los Angeles or in New York City, or flying to this city or flying to that city. And it's busy, and not even connecting that to every Tuesday and Thursday. So there's a lot. Thank you, Pastor Jabari. Now, allow me to get a drink of tea here before we begin. Pastor Jabari, Pastor Sam, Pastor Jody, I am led of the Lord to finally address what happened to this celebrity named Twitch. And what you're going to hear tonight, the bishop is not blaming anyone for the cause of this young man's death. Now, Pastor Sam, according to my two contacts in the federal government, whose names I would never reveal because I do not want to be pushing Daisy, so I'm not stupid. The information from my contacts, and also with deep background insight into this young man, Pastor Sam, Twitch was liquidated. Let me say this again. Twitch was liquidated.
Damn.
The hotel that he went to,
Wow.
the Oak Tree Motel, is owned by the same company that owned the Hacienda Hotel back in the late 60s, which was the same hotel here in Los Angeles that the body of Sam Cooke was found. Again,
Pay attention, folks.
I'm not blaming anyone. I am not blaming any particular person or persons. But before we get into the scripture, I want to just kind of set the platform in order tonight. My prayers are with his wife, Allison Hawker. Her bloodline is going to blow your mind. She has done nothing wrong. So don't run with this, okay? She has done nothing wrong. She was a great wife to my brother. But there's a connection between her bloodline and the bloodline of her late husband. And so he was liquidated because of what he knew concerning child trafficking. So we're going to go straight into the word of the Lord. To witness, pray for me tonight. That pastor said that's why I was attacked last night. Because the devil does not want me to teach this. So Twitch was assassinated. A housekeeper found his body, Pastor Bethany, and the housekeeper said that he committed suicide. First of all, how would she know that? She is not a forensic pathologist. I'm not downcasting this person because they are a housekeeper. How would they know that Twitch self-inflicted killed himself? That the hotel manager and all of the workers said, Pastor Comey, we did not hear a gunshot. According to my contacts, Pastor Odessa, the reason why the manager and the workers there at the Oak Tree Motel in Encino, California, did not hear a gunshot because there was a silencer involved. Again, I am not blaming anyone for his death. My assignment is to connect the dots of names, persons, places, things, links, entity. My responsibility is to get to the truth. Heavenly Father, send forth thy word, for thy word is truth, and touch my body, Lord, which belongs to you, God. Touch my body, heal my throat, and remove any and all bacteria from my body. In Yeshua's holy name. Are you ready to have your minds blown? I said, are you ready to have your minds blown? I invite.
Yeah, let's get it.
I want to
blow my shit.
Excuse me.
He's going
here every now and then. Excuse me. I invite your attention to two passages of scripture. It is important that you have three items. Number one, make sure you have the greatest weapon in human history, the King James Version. If you don't have the physical King James Version, then go to the electronic version, which is right beside Pastor Sam's.
You're actually telling the truth. That is a weapon that has been used.
Right beside.
You should definitely know how to use it.
Beautiful Bethany's name.
You said it's a weapon you definitely need to know how to use.
I will not be long with you.
That's a fact.
The Holy Spirit
Absolutely.
said, Bishop, it's late, and we don't want to wear the people out on the East Coast. So that's number one. Have the Word of God, the King James Version, or at least go to the electronic version. Number two, have 2 to 3 pens. And number three, have a large notebook. Was the teaching the other night mind-blowing to you? Oh my. Was the teaching the other night mind-blowing to you? I got to confess, it was to me. I invite your attention to two passages of scripture. The first passage will be St. Paul's letter Great to see you, Pastor David. All you guys, great to see you. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. And the key verse that I want you to concentrate on tonight will come out of the gospel according to St. John, chapter 11, verses 43 and 44. Thank you, Pastor Simon. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, and St. John chapter 11, verses 43 and 44. Let's lay historical foundation beginning in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, ladies and gentlemen. Hear ye the word of the Lord. For we wrestle not, or our spiritual warfare is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Thank you, Pastor Sue Denny. Not only is there a war in the deep state, a war over your soul, but there's also a war within the deep state, with the principalities are battling against their own powers. Their own powers are fighting against the rulers of the darkness of this world. And if there is rulers of the darkness of this world, there has to be rulers of the darkness of other worlds. Pastor Bridget, I feel an anointing here tonight, heavy. And the rulers of the darkness of this world battling internally against spiritual wickedness in high places. So this fallen state of the earth called the world, we're not the only world. We are not the only world, which means every single, I won't say planet, but star, not just in our galaxy, but in every single galaxy, after the fall of Lucifer, those stars or planets also became a fallen state called the world. So we are not the only world. Hence, Paul says, battling against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Now, our key verse will come out of the gospel according to St. John, chapter 11, verse 43 and 44. Hear ye the word of the Lord. And when he, Christ, thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, come forth. Now, Christ did not say, Lazarus, come out. See, a lot of people are coming out of the closet, but they're still bound in their sin because they have not yet come forth.
Pause.
So you don't come out unless you come forth. Encounters of the fourth kind. Lazarus, come forth. Now, he was not the only Lazarus on the earth at that time. If a blade of grass was called Lazarus, it got up. If a mammal or an animal was called Lazarus, they got up. If there was an ant that drowned in the sea, the ant was resurrected. if the ant was called Lazarus. Anything, entity, nation that was called Lazarus at that point in John 11:43, they got up and were resurrected because Christ is the resurrection in the life. Lazarus, come forth. Verse 44, and he, Lazarus, that was dead for 4 days, came forth, encounters of the fourth kind, bound hand and foot with grave clothes. He could not walk, Pastor Jabari, out of the tomb because his entire body was mummified. The only way that Lazarus could move was to hip and to hop. See, that's why I was under attack with my health last night, because Satan does not want me to bring this, but the devil is a lie. And he was dead, bound hand and foot, mummified in a system that is not of God, with grave clothes hanging from his behind. And his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus, or Yeshua, saith unto them, who? The church, the apostles, loose him and let him go. But the problem with the church today, Pastor Simon, is that after Lazarus has come forth, the church refuses to unwrap him so he can be liberated. Always remember, every miracle requires human participation. Lord, let me correct that. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for correcting me. Every miracle requires not an animalistic participation, thank you, Lord, but requires a supernatural participation. If you want that job, God is not going to send you the application out of the heavens. Loose him and let him go, because the only thing he could do was hip and to hop. Now, go back to Ephesians 6 and 12. Let's lay apostolic historical foundation of a topic that is going to forever alter the way that you look, not just at the music industry, but the world. The global system of the hip hop syndicate. The global system of the hip hop syndicate. There are 5 Khazarian families that rule the 13 families. And those 5 Khazarian families are the Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, the Pritzkers, the Warburgs, and the Soroses. And those 5 Khazarian families run the 5 families in New York, from the Gambinos down to the Genovese family. In order to destroy the system of hip hop, we must expose its three-headed dimension. It's the rap music system, 2, the Kenzarian system of music moguls, and 3, the prison industrial complex. Now remember, the oldest, shortest words, yes and no, are those that require the greatest thought. Thank you, Pastor Bethany. Thank you, Pastor Sam. If we can add a 4th dimension after the rap music industry, the Kenzarian mafia that runs the music industry, the prison industrial complex, and that 4th would be the American and the global drug industrial complex. Exposing the global system of the crime, hip-hop crime syndicate. Darkness comes in layers. I call this, Pastor Sam and Pastor Simon, the global compartmentalization of Luciferic structure. The global compartmentalization of Luciferic structures. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. The oldest words of yes and no are those, students, that require the greatest thought through thinking. Remember the other night the term comatose, coma. But the acronym for coma or comatose is the dialectical phrase comma. A comma is a dialectical structure contained within a sentence. I want you to hear me tonight. A comma, the acronym for coma or comatose, is a dialectical entity of death within a sentence. I'm going to say something that's radical. The term grammar did not come from God. Grammar did not come from God. The term grammar was actually designed as a curse. So the term grammar, language, dialect, speech, a comma in a semicolon gives disbalance to a particular sentence. No one's teaching us, exposing the global system of the hip hop syndicate. Remember, the objective of the Luciferian deep state is actually not to make money. I got your attention now. Let me say this again. The actual goal in game of the global Luciferic deep state, as we're dissecting the global system of the hip hop syndicate, It is not to make money. The objective of the deep state is not even to control a given conflict of a proxy war. The goal of the global Luciferic deep state is to control the debt that the conflict produces. Oh my. You see, students, the real value of a conflict, I feel healing right now. The real value of a conflict, a true value, is in the debt that it creates. Whoever controls the debt controls everything. So then, ladies and gentlemen, this is the very essence of the banking industry. Whether we be nations, commonwealths, governments, individuals, slaves to debt. Let's continue to lay apostolic foundation concerning the global system of the hip hop syndicate. In 1863, a document was signed by President Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation. It did not liberate the individual from the plantation. Though you're no longer on the physical plantation, but you are still tied, attached to a psychological plantation. The difference between emancipation versus liberation, they're not the same. The term emancipation simply means you are still a controlled asset of the state. You're no longer on the plantation physically, but now there's a leash around you that if you get out of line, they will pull you back into your place. See, that's emancipation, that's not liberation. 2 years later, the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865, it was never ratified, Pastor Hadassah and Pastor Colleen, because the states of Delaware and Pennsylvania, Uncle Joe's states, have yet to ratify the 13th Amendment to this day, which means technically Black America in the Black diaspora is still on the plantation. I'm going to take my time tonight. The global system of the hip hop syndicate. In 1991, there was a major private meeting in Beverly Hills at the residence of one Clyde Davis. Let me wipe some of the anointing. Oh, Lord have mercy. That's why the devil did not want me to teach this tonight. A lot of scholars will tell you about this meeting, but they won't tell you who was there. But I know I'm going to expose it tonight. So in 1991, a group of music moguls, the heads of Universal Music Group, the Sony Music Corporation, and the Warner Music Group, along with the Island Records Group, and along with a corporation called BMG. BMG was first created by a Khazarian devil by the name, and I'm not talking about Jewish people. I'm talking about one family, the Rothschilds. Carl Bertelsmann, Bertelsmann, had designed a publishing house out of the North Rhineland in Germany, going back into the 1800s. But his descendants that still run the BMG group met on that day, that year of 1991, in the home of Clyde Davis. The same Clyde Davis who had Whitney Houston's chest caved in. I said it. At that 1991 meeting, Pastor Jabari, in the home of one Clyde Davis, was also representatives from a private equity firm called the KKR, founded by Henry Kravis, George R. Roberts, and Jerome Kohlberg Jr., including some of the Sarnoff family. The family of the Sarnoffs, where their forefather, David Sarnoff, created RCA, the Radio Corporation of America, in 1919. This was the same David Sarnoff who owned the Marconi telegraph system, which gave out the wrong coordinates to the Titanic, that caused that ship to crash into massive icebergs. And why? Because the Rothschilds, who had contracted J.P. Morgan, who had paid off David Sarnoff to bring down that liner, because there were patriots on board, Pastor Sam, that were totally against the creation of a Federal Reserve System. This is the same David Sarnoff who had Sam Cooke liquidated. I said it. Sam Cooke had the goods on David Sarnoff. David Sarnoff, who was the chairman of the board, not just for RCA, but he also created NBC, the National Broadcasting Corporation, was connected to child trafficking. Sam Cooke knew this. Sam Cooke wanted the rights to his music. Am I right in saying that, Pastor Bethany? Sam Cooke was not on drugs. Sam Cooke was not trying to steal money from the Hacienda Hotel. Sam Cooke, just like Miles Davis, wanted the rights to his music. But this devil, David Sarnoff, did not want that to happen. So Sam Cooke was exposing Sarnoff, and all of a sudden, Pastor Bethany, we're told that Sam Cooke was threatening the manager of the hotel, lie, and that Sam Cooke had some prostitute there, lie. So David Sarnoff set him up in order to silence Sam Cooke, exposing the global hip-hop crime syndicate. So that major meeting in 1991 in the home of Clyde Davis not only had the music moguls over Universal, Sony, and Warner, along with the Island Records Group Corporation, the BMG Rights Management Corporation, including those from the KKR, the Kravis, Roberts, and Kohlberg Private Equity Group. Why would a private equity group have anything to do with hip hop? I'll explain that later. These music moguls, along with those from NBC, met most of the most powerful rappers in the industry. Tupac was there. Biggie Smalls was there. Jay-Z was there. 2 Live Crew was there. Russell Simmons was there. Why did they want to meet these black musical artists? Because the synagogue of Satan, not Jewish people, one famous the Rothschilds who operate the music industry here, they needed to fill the prisons throughout the United States. Wait, Bishop, wait. What does these music moguls have anything to do with the prison industrial complex? Most of the shares in the major private and public prisons are owned by Universal, Warner Brothers Music, and Sony. Universal, Sony, and Warner Brothers own nearly 70% of the stock of your private and public prisons industrial complex. So they told the artists in that meeting, we need you to design music. Not M-U-S-I-C, but M-U-S-I-C-K. Come on, Daniel. In order to manipulate the minds of your people so they can commit crime and we can fill the prisons. Because every prisoner is worth $10,000 in the system. You see how deep this predictive programming is. Thank you, Pastor Sam. This is exposing the global hip-hop crime syndicate. Let's continue to lay foundation. The only rappers that walked out and did not agree with the contents of this meeting was Tupac and Biggie Smalls. It was these two men that were liquidated by the CIA. I said it. Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, with the LAPD covering up their murders through the Rampart corruption here, had liquidated two men who refused to be butt broken by Sony, by Warner, and by Universal. That's the hip-hop crime syndicate. the private equity firm of KKR and Company, or the Kravis, Roberts, and Kohlberg equity firm, needed to hear through the mouths of Tupac and Biggie and Russell Simmons. Suge Knight was there. Dr. Dre was there. Can I teach? We need you to design music that will allow your people to react through violence so we can have a reason to put them into prison, because nearly 70% of the prisons, public and private, are owned by Universal, Sony, and Warner. You are dealing with demons.
Shout out Grateful.
The
Shout out
global
everybody.
system
Untouched Goddess, I
of the
see you.
hip-hop
You know what I'm saying?
crime
Diamond King.
syndicate.
Shout out everybody.
Let's
Steve
stay
Roberts.
there during that year of 1991. Members of the Sarnoff family, who are now proxy owners of NBC. Now, do you remember some years ago, Bill Cosby wanted to purchase NBC. He wanted to purchase NBC, and he had the money to do it, but the Sarnoff family turned him down, so they allowed General Electric, that's connected to JP Morgan Chase Bank, to buy NBC. And so Bill Cosby was singing like a bird, and all of a sudden, Pastor Bethany, Bill Cosby's only son was taken out on contract as a reminder to Bill, you're still nothing but an N. This is exposed in the hip-hop crime syndicate. So then, also at that meeting, besides the Sarnoff family, was the family of John Jacob Astor, his descendants. Wait a minute now. Their forefather, John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidore and Ida Strauss, related to Levi Strauss of the clothing jean line. And Levi Strauss, as a side note, created the bib overalls for slave men. The jeans that young people have and are sagging with.
We need to pay attention. We need to pay attention. Hey, if you don't mind, this is a series called let me turn my phone down. This is a series called, let me grab my banner up so I can get it all the way up for y'all can actually see it. But boom, where I'm at here. Here we go. You know how we do. Here we go. This right here is called The Spiritual War Called Hip Hop. And this is a series I'm going to be doing where we're going to dive deep into the music and what's going on and things of that nature. If you don't mind, this is on I Don't Give a Fuck Sports and News, and it's on DJ Kuttack 1. If you don't mind, go to DJ Kuttack 1 if you like what you're seeing, because this is the first episode, because we're going to do sports and news over on I Don't Give a Fuck. So, yeah, if you don't mind, DJ Kuttack 1, its link is in the description and stuff like that. If you like this type of stuff, we trying to make sure that we separate the channels for the different people and their what they want to hear. So, hey man, salute to everybody. Pat Gabriel, I see you. Shy Apples, I see you. Randy Johnson, I appreciate you. Mr. Aboriginal Smith, I see you. Jaguar War Cloud, man, come on, man. Let me start dropping. Shout out to the gods and goddesses. Sundays, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, like I said, go to Go to DJ Kuttack 1 on YouTube. Get you subscribe if you like the music entertainment. That's what that's gonna be, as well as all of the he said typo in the title. Yeah, I know, man. You know we messed up. But yeah, we're gonna try to put the music on DJ Kuttack 1, as well as a 24-hour rotation of all Aboriginal music. So here we go. Without further ado, I'll get you back to Bishop Larry Elders, and also subscribe to his channel, Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group, on YouTube. That's Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group. Shout out to Larry Elders. He dropping jewels already. So we'll go ahead and get on back to that right now. Let me get that banner off. Here we go. And we on him. Let me bring him back just a tad. Just a tad. There we go.
Jeans that young people have and are sagging with holes in the knees came from Levi Strauss, who was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by the United States during the time of slavery to be the clothing maker for the generation of slaves. But his family, through Isidore and Ida Strauss, along with Benjamin Guggenheim and John Jacob Astor IV, Pastor Ronald Zion, they were against the creation of a Federal Reserve System. Interesting. On the 15th of April in 1912, J.P. Morgan was instructed by the London, England branch of the Rothschilds to contract David Sarnoff through the Marconi telegraph system to purposely send out the wrong coordinates, Pastor Colleen, so that the Titanic, with the Patriots on board who were against the Federal Reserve, it sank. The following year, Pastor Sam, was the creation of the Federal Reserve System in December of 1913. Now, somebody may be thinking, well, Bishop, what does this have to do with hip hop? I'm getting to that. Let me get a drink of tea here. Listen. See, a lot of you want the jelly and the donut, but you have no knowledge how to make the dough. This is a pyramid global scheme. Whereas these rappers that you see on videos with the bling bling and the houses and the women, none of that stuff belongs to them. They are at the bottom of the barrel. J.P. Morgan owned the International Mercantile Marine Company. I'll come back to 1991. J.P. Morgan owned the International Mercantile Marine Company, which was a trust, and that Mercantile Marine Company owned the Star Line that owned the Titanic. The Rothschilds, J.P. Morgan, contracted David Sarnoff to give the wrong coordinates to a Captain Smith on the Titanic. Now, the RCA Corporation later had a major stockholder, and this company that was a major stockholder of RCA was called the Talisman Brand Company. Talisman, Talisman. Well, that term talisman It means a witch or a warlock. The Talisman's Brands Company out of Scotland, ran by the Talisman family, the same family who immigrated to Germany prior to World War I and changed their name from Talisman to Scherf, SCHERFF. And prior to World War II, the Scherfs changed their name to the Bushes. I want you to hear me tonight. The Talismans changed their name to Scherfs prior to World War I, and the Scherfs again changed their name to the Bushes prior to World War II. You are dealing with Nazis. So thereby, the Bush family, along with Brown Brothers Harriman, who were major components of eugenics, they built the Nazi regime prior to World War II. The City National Bank, which today is called the Union Banking Corporation, that still exists, had assets into the billions of dollars of Nazi money, Bush money, Brown Brothers Harriman money, Vanderbilt money, and also the City National Bank, which then changed their name later to the Union Banking Corporation, which still exists, held in its stock millions of dollars from a corporation called IG Farben. Let me get a drink of tea here. Listen. IG Farben was created by Herman Schmidt, SCHMIDT. In 1947, 2 years after World War II, IG Farben, that built the gas chambers that had liquidated 6 million precious, beautiful Jewish people. The Holocaust happened? Yes, it did. At least 6 million or more precious, beautiful Jewish men, women, and children were liquidated, most of them through the gas ovens from IG Farben. But guess who represented them legally 2 years later during the IG Farben trial in 1947? The legal team of Dulles, Sullivan, and Cromwell. Dulles, Sutherland, and Cromwell. Wait a minute now. Dulles. The brothers John Foster Dulles, who wrote the Treaty of Versailles that practically ended World War I and forced Germany to pay reparations. John Foster Dulles was one of the attorneys for IG Farben, who built the gas ovens for the Nazi regime during the time of the Holocaust. His brother, Alan Dulles, who also was an attorney representing IG Farben, Alan Dulles went on to form and create the Central Intelligence Agency.
Cut it, you killing them.
You're telling me, Bishop, that John Foster Dulles, who wrote the Treaty of Versailles, that forced the Germans to pay reparations after World War I, and his brother, Allen Dulles, one of the founding fathers of the CIA, was helping Nazi collaborators. Yes. And the Dulles, Sullivan, and Cromwell firm legally represented I.G. Farben, who then built the gas ovens during World War II. And I.G. Farben, in 1952, 7 years after World War II, was broken up as a monopoly. Now it's called the Bayer Aspirin Corporation, which, if you remember, during the 1980s, Bayer had a major recall of aspirins all over the world that was laced with an HIV agent. Bayer, the BASF company, BASF, and the Hoechst company, HOECHST, were broken off from I.G. Farben. So the I.G. Farben trial that took place on the 3rd of May in 1947 and ended on the 30th of July in 1948, it was I.G. Farben, along with those who would later create the Bayer Corporation, helped design Zyklon B gas, where all 330,000 employees of I.G. Farben built thousands of gas ovens. And the Holocaust represents one of the most painful times in history. Can I take my time? Let me get a drink of tea here. Listen.
Take your time, OG. Take your time, man. You are dropping
the global system of the hip hop.
Shit.
Crime syndicate.
Damn.
In 1943, Carl Duisberg, Duisberg, along with Hermann Schmidt, Schmitz, were Nazi collaborators. Adolf Hitler's bodyguard, thank you, Pastor Bethany.
Shout out Big Dog Philly OG.
Scorzini,
my God.
This is receipts, had said in 1999 on his deathbed, signed a legal affidavit that Allen Dulles, who helped create the CIA along with Wild Bill Donovan, were Nazis. John Foster Dulles was a Nazi. And that the Bushes' real name was not just sheriffs, but talismans. But Scorzini also said that the Bushes, 15% of the Bushes, married into the Mengele family. Wait. Dr. Joseph Mengele, the angel of death at Auschwitz.
Oh my God.
The Bushes are related to the Mengeles, related to Allen Dulles, related to John Foster Dulles, related to Wild Bill Donovan. Also related to Reinhard Gehlen, who helped form not just the Gehlen organization after World War II, but helped build the CIA. You are talking about demons.
Shame.
This is foundation before we get to the hip hop crime syndicate. Otis Scorzini also said that Nikola Tesla had a trusted assistant named George Herbert Scherf Sr., named George Herbert Scherf Sr., who was actually Prescott Bush. The Union Banking Corporation Holdings Company, which was created by the Nazis, also had a Nazi collaborator on its board, a devil by the name of Fritz Thyssen, capital Thyssen, who built the Thyssen Steel Corporation that still exists today, that is contracted by the U.S. federal government. The Thyssen-Krupp Corporation came from the root of a Nazi collaborator, Fritz Thyssen. He didn't escape Germany, but the Nazis had sent him to America as a spy, not as an industrial giant. That's Fritz Thyssen, who sat on the board along with the Bushes, along with members of the Third Reich, of the Union Banking Corporation. All in the family. Look at this. The global system of the hip-hop crime syndicate. At the death of J.P. Morgan, he only owned 13% of his money. Listen, J.P. Morgan only owned 13% of his money, whereas the other 80% was owned by the Rothschilds. As powerful as J.P. Morgan was, he was nothing but a midget to the Rothschilds. We're building foundation before we get to the hip-hop crime syndicate, and we'll go back to 1990. Prescott Bush Scherf, one of the founding fathers of the Union Banking Corporation. So this Union Banking Corporation you see today, it was once a Nazi bank. Another topic for another day. So David Sarnoff, who created the Record Corporation of America in 1919, went on to create the National Broadcasting Corporation. The Sarnoff family are proxy owners of NBC, which means you will never see their name on their website, whether it's the website of NBC, MSNBC, or CNBC, because the Sarnoff family are proxy hidden owners of the National Broadcasting Corporation. Getting back to that 1991 meeting in the home of Clyde Davis in Beverly Hills. We're laying foundation before we get to the text of Ephesians 6 and 12. And also John 11, 43 and 44. The BMG Rights Management, along with the Kohlberg and Kravis Roberts equity firm, though they did not create BMG until 2008, but they themselves was there at that 1991 meeting. Not one black artist, I want you to hear me tonight, not one black artist owns any of the major distribution outlets of Sony, Universal, or Warner Music. Which means every black artist is still a slave.
Come on now.
You make the music, and then the music moguls, because you don't know business, owns the rights to your music. And when you're broken down, broke, busted, and disgusted, they give you a parting gift, a car. You're dealing with demons. Who was also at that 1991 meeting? the executive board of Virgin Records. Who was all?
All right, once again, man, if you like this music entertainment, this stuff is going to be on DJ Kuttack 1. If you don't mind, go over there, subscribe, hit the like button, you know what I'm saying, all of that, so you don't miss out on musical news and entertainment and weirdo stuff dealing with the entertainment industry. I don't give a fuck. Sports and news is going to deal with sports and news, and Cheap Holidays channel is going to deal with the knowledge, the teaching, and we're going to try to compartmentalize. Blah, I almost bit my tongue in there, for real. Nigga Cuddy over here. Hey, but yeah, we trying to compartmentalize these things, man, so we don't spread everybody out. So, you know what I'm saying, you get what you want and not jammed with a whole bunch of gumbo. So, yeah, that's DJ Kuttack 1. You'll see it in the description. You know what I'm saying? Sub so you can get this music information. And also the Aboriginal music will be on the 24-hour rotation when we're not on there. Here we go. Thanks everybody for being here.
Also at that 1991 meeting, a man by the name of Rick Rubin, who was the handler for Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons did not own Def Jam. Rick Rubin did. Russell Simmons was just the face of the corporation. And now Atlantic Records owns Virgin Records, and Universal Music Group owns Def Jam Records. And Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin sold it for only $100 million. Let's go slow as we're laying foundation. Also in 1991, at that meeting in the home of Clyde Davis in Beverly Hills, the music moguls own the majority of shares in 1,566 state prisons. 1,566 state prisons that Universal, Sony, and Warner. What business would these major music moguls have anything to do with prisons? So we want Tupac, we want Biggie, we want Jay-Z, we want these rappers to rap about murdering drive-bys so that the kids can do what you're telling them to do so we can lock them up. Because if we don't have a 90% capacity in the prisons, we will lose millions of dollars. And Negroes signed that contract other than Tupac and Biggie. And what happened to them? You see how deep this goes. See, what I'm doing, I'm giving.
Bishop Larry Elders is dropping the jewels for real, man. Shout out to Bishop Larry Elders, man. Man, he over there licking shots, boy. He over there licking shots for real. Better quit playing with the elder. We'll let him continue.
You a massive red pill tonight concerning exposing the hip-hop crime syndicate. Say that in Ephesians 6 and 12. So the music moguls in Hollywood own the majority of shares in 1,566 state prisons, and they also own the majority of shares in 158 private prisons, and 60% of the shares in 102 federal prisons including the Supermax prison, ADX, in Florence, Colorado. So you have hip hop, okay? You have drugs, the crack cocaine epidemic. You have the music moguls and the prison industrial complex. So at that 1991 meeting, we need you to write music laced with violence. Tell the kids to kill the police so we can lock them up. Because the crack cocaine did not come from black people. The crack cocaine.
Welcome, Miss Michelle.
Came
welcome
from the CIA. Remember Gary Webb, the writer for the San Jose Mercury News?
Hold up, we need to bring the elder back. We need to bring the elder back real quick.
Kill the Messenger.
Hold up, we need to bring the elder back. He dropped
and they also own the majority of shares.
There you go.
In 158 private prisons and 60% of the shares in 102 federal prisons, including the Supermax prison, ADX, in Florence, Colorado. So you have hip hop, okay? You have drugs, the crack cocaine epidemic. You have the music moguls and the prison industrial complex. So at that 1991 meeting, we need you to write music laced with violence. Tell the kids to kill.
Yeah, I'm over here on DJ Kuttack 1, modding everybody up too. So, you know what I'm saying? You come over to DJ Kuttack 1 channel so I can mod you up, and then you can go on back, whatnot, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Hey, thank everybody for being here.
The police, so we can lock them up. Because the crack cocaine did not come from black people. The crack cocaine came from the CIA. Remember Gary Webb, the writer for the San Jose Mercury News? Some years ago, I was invited to a red carpet event, a movie premiere for Kill the Messenger. And when I saw that movie, Pastor Bethany, it blew my mind. That the Central Intelligence Agency, in order to make money to fight against the Contras in South America, we need to flood South Central with crack. And we need to flood New York City and Harlem with crack. And Baltimore and DC and Miami and Dallas and Houston, Chicago. Black people did not distribute the crack, but they were used as pawns in the game along with Bloods and Crips to bring destruction to our people. The global system of the hip-hop crime syndicate, Oliver North was involved too. Even the music moguls own 40% of just shares now of 2,850 local jails. And they own 35% of 1,510 juvenile correction institutions. That's why the music moguls, Clyde Davis, Leon Cohen, these devils, Jerry Heller, invited all of these members of the NWA, all of them, into this meeting. So we need you to design music, not to wake up your people, but to manipulate their minds through problem reaction solution, where we create a catastrophe, George Floyd, And we know because of your pain and trauma, your people are going to react. And when they react, they're going to ask the system for a solution that the system already had before they created the crisis. Nothing has changed, Pastor Bethany.
I don't give a fuck about none of you old bastards.
We also need to lace your music with non-problem reaction solution. Sing about death. Sing about cops. Now, are the corrupt cops? Yes. 95%, 96% of cops are patriots. But those demons of Warner, Time Warner, Universal, Sony, Island Records, Virgin Records, they said to the rappers, we need you to design music of self-hate. Here's all this money we will give you. As long as your people kill each other, we don't care. Nothing has changed. It's called the Haletian dialect. Through the rat game, coupled with the crack cocaine epidemic, and as a side note, I was told today, Pastor Sam, that Kanye West is missing. Let me get a drink of tea here. Listen. Kanye West and one of his assistants are missing. And I said, don't be surprised if they tell you that Kanye took his life. The system is after Kanye because he's exposing these pedophiles who then took out his mother. The global system of the hip hop crime syndicate. Warner Records, Universal, and Sony own major shares of the prison industrial complex. Here are the names of these prisons that came up in that 1991 meeting.
Family don't even know what the fuck going on.
The Core Civic Corporation.
They don't even know what's
the Geo Group Corporation that both own nearly all of the private prisons in the United States. Representatives from the Vanguard Corporation, including those from the BlackRock Group. The BlackRock Group, along with the Blackstone Group, were heavily involved within the missing Malaysian flight MH370.
Oh my God.
See, that's why I was attacked last night. The devil doesn't want me to say this.
Shame.
What interest, Pastor Bethany?
Family don't even know what the fuck going
with
on.
Two private multi-trillion-dollar private equity firms, BlackRock and Blackstone, not just ran by Larry Fink, who is a private minority owner of the LA Lakers, who knew Kobe Bryant. But the BlackRock and Blackstone group is owned by Jacob Rothschild. And Jacob Rothschild benefited from that, that missing Malaysian flight 370. I'll come back to it. The global system of the hip-hop crime syndicate. Because the crime is syndicated not just all over our nation, but all over the world. Now say there in Ephesians 6 and 20.
Power, goddammit.
So Sony, Warner, Universal owns major stock in Core Civic, the Geo Group, and the Vanguard Group, stocks that run prisons. So we cannot get any public or private funding unless you rappers talk about killing cops and raping women or raping little boys and girls.
That's right.
If you can write about that, we can arrest them and lock them up in prisons. And none would be this is a demonic system, Pastor Jody Bird and Pastor David Yakin. Michael Jordan has prison stocks too. You see, Pastor Ronald Zion. Now, as a side note with that, those two teenage kids, they were teenagers at the time in the summer of 1993, did not murder James Jordan, the father of Michael Jordan. I have a contact. I'm going to use wisdom on this, Pastor Simon. I have a contact that knows a contact that knows people in the Chicago outfit. And he said, Bishop, those two teenage boys did not take out Michael Jordan's father. Michael Jordan's father, along with Michael Jordan, owed millions of dollars with the gambling money. You see, the synagogue say they don't care if you're a multi-millionaire, billionaire basketball player. So that was a message to Michael Jordan. Listen in. Let's put you on the plantation. David Stern knew what was happening. In this day, same David Stern, who mysteriously died right before the death of Kobe, because David Stern was set to testify in Congress concerning the NBA's complicit connection with organized crime, and all of a sudden David Stern dies. Look at the body of the text now in Ephesians 6 and 12, after 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 30 seconds of foundation. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, spiritual wickedness in high places. There's another prison system, Pastor Sam, called the Corrections Corporation of America. Let me get a drink of tea here. The Corrections Corporation of America, or CCA, they control the private prison industrial complex here in the United States, where they have a 90% capacity. How is it, men of God and women of God,
my God,
that black folk only constitute 30% of our population, but they constitute over 65%, going on 70% those in prison? How is that? It goes back to that 1991 meeting. Who wrote 3 strikes and you're out? Not just the Bonnie and Clyde team, the Clintons, but the present fraudulent president, Joe Biden. He wrote and signed into law, Pastor Jabari, the 3 strikes and you're out. This is the same man that black folk love. You ain't black if you're going to vote for President Trump. This is the same man, Pastor Bethany, that said on the floor of the Senate in passing that bill that goes back to the 1990s, 3 strikes and you're out. Biden said, and I quote, "These are animals." But yet black folks still voted for him. Okay, I'm not going to talk about politics tonight. Listen. So we're not wrestling against flesh and blood. So at that 1991 meeting, the music moguls in the house of Clyde Davis, man, there's a heavy anointing, and those of the private financial equity firms of Blackstone and BlackRock said to Tupac, and Biggie and Jay-Z, the 2 Live Crew, Rum DMC, we need you to lace your music with violence so that your people can react, buy crack, rob banks, kill people, so we can send them to prisons, our prisons, so we can fill them up and make money. Nothing has changed. Tupac left in disgust. Notorious B.I.G. left in disgust. And what happened to them? I'll get to them here in a minute.
Yo, man, shout out to my brother, man, CJ, man, in the chat, man. Hey, man, CJ be traveling this thing we call Earth for real. He be all over the place. Shout out to Spain, too. Everybody in Spain, man, you know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm going to put the link in the chat, you know what I'm saying? Like I said before, all the music and information and talk and stuff like that, that's going to be handled on the DJ Kuttack channel, the I Don't Give a Fuck Sports and News. Going to deal with the sports and news and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? If you mosey on over, and I'm going to go ahead and, I'll send that right there. Boom. Boom. Yeah, put that out there. If you mosey on over to the channel, you know what I'm saying? If I see you and know you, I'll put the mod up on you real quick so you can have that. But like I said, if you like the music, hey, I see your Knowledge. Look at my boy, Knowledge. My God. If you like this like music talk and information like that, man, subscribe to the DJ Kuttack one. There's the link. You know what I'm saying? So, yo, love, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Hey, man, special shout out to my boy again, man, CJ over in Spain, man. Welcome, my guy. Hey, yo, the elder boy, he is not bullshitting this. He over here dropping the jewels like, man.
Shame.
It's a goddamn shame, man. I'm going to get on back to the elder and then we can cook on this here in a minute.
They're in Ephesians 6 and 12. Now we're going into the hip-hop crime syndicate beginning at the 1991 meeting. The Vanguard group was there at the meeting. And not only does the music moguls own stocks in Core Civic Geo Group and Vanguard, but the board of governors of these prison industrial corporations own stock in Sony, and Universal, and Warner.
Yeah, my PayPal is Kuttack, Kuttack at Gmail.
Vanguard. Can I take my time? Vanguard is the 3rd largest shareholder in both Viacom and Time Warner, which by proxy is still controlled by the Bronfman family. Don't believe them when they tell you the Bronfmans out of Montreal through Seagram's brought liquor illegally during the time of Prohibition into Detroit with the help of the Detroit Murder Incorporated called the Purple Gang. As a side note, Pastor Sam, how many of you, especially those of you who live in Detroit, how many of you heard of the Chamber Brothers? Can I teach you? Let me get some tea here. Listen. The Chamber Brothers. Remember White Boy Rick? He's a threat because he knows the agency, the CIA, had created the Chamber Brothers dope trade, and the CIA also created YBI, Young Boys Incorporated. That's why President Reagan sent the FBI in to destroy the Chamber Brothers and stuck white boy Rick Ross in prison and created and destroyed YBI, because YBI, the Chamber Brothers, are feeling an anointing, and many other gangs in Detroit are nothing but pawns for the Central Intelligence Agency. We give you drugs, you make money, then we arrest you for using and distributing the drugs that we gave you. It's nothing but a demonic game and a demonic scheme. We are exposing the global Luciferic music industrial complex called the Hip Hop Crime Syndicate. See, President Reagan went against the cabal plan. That's why they wanted to destroy him, Pastor Gabriel. Who did? Do you know, as a side note, when President Reagan was shot, when was that, in 81? Who set that up? Poppy Bush set that up. I said it. And why? Because the plan of the cabal was to get rid of Reagan and put in Poppy Bush. That didn't work. And then we're going to set up Reagan with Iran-Contra. So Viacom and Time Warner own major stocks within Vanguard. I'm going to blow your minds here. The Geo Group, which owns 101 prisons in America, also oversee prisons in the United Kingdom, Australia, including Robben Island. Wait. The prison that Mandela stayed in, which is now shut down. But who ran that? The Geo Group, with the financial help of Viacom and Time Warner. So the African National Congress was not just battling against the Geo Group and against apartheid, but they were getting paid by the apartheid system at the same. It's a game. Time Warner, Sony Music, and Universal Music has stocks in the BlackRock and Blackstone funds. That's a side note. Both the BlackRock Group and the Blackstone Group hold the largest amount of assets that represents the teacher's pension fund. Why would a private equity group, BlackRock and Blackstone, have anything to do with hip-hop? Because the masses of our people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Let's continue to expose the hip-hop crime syndicate. So then the Core Civic Corporation in the Geo Group, who nearly owns all the private prisons, before the death, so-called death of Jeffrey Epstein, Epstein had stock in Warner, Universal, and Sony, which means he also had stock in the Geo Group and Vanguard. And most of your politicians, not just on the left, but on the right, own millions of dollars of shares in the prison industrial complex. Now, stay there in Ephesians 6 and 12. We're not fighting against flesh and blood. The Black Rock Fund and the Blackstone Fund created in the mid-1980s by Larry Fink, a minority owner of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I just heard today, are you sitting down, students? My staff had unearthed information concerning Calabasas, the land where Kobe had died. At the time, Calabasas, that land where Kobe died, not all of Calabasas, just the land, was owned by a private equity firm out of New York City, the Open Source Society. Who owns that? George Soros. Oh my God.
Shame.
Hold up. I had to pause that, man. Hey man, most of y'all that know me, man, know I'm a Laker forever, and Kobe Jelly Bean Bryant is one of my favorite. Better yet, he is my favorite player of all time, for real. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Kobe Jelly Bean Bryant, the Black Mamba. You know what I'm talking about? Lick some shots for him. 8 of them to be exact. You know what I'm saying? But man, do you hear the implications? How all these people are tied into this is crazy for real, man. For real, man. This stuff is bananas. Very weird shit. Man, but shout out to everybody, man. Let me get on about. I see Tasco in the building. Shout out to Tasco. You know what I'm saying? Doing the dude, Willie Jones, Garfield Rule, you know what I'm saying? Big Dog, of course. Lions, Wolves, I see you, brothers. You know what I'm saying? Hey, like I said before, you know what I'm saying? We compartmentalizing this stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of the knowledge gonna be on Chief Holiday's channel. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get on some sports and news shows and stuff on I Don't Give a Fuck Sports and News. You know what I'm saying? And hip hop, and on DJ Kuttack 1, we're gonna do all the music, entertainment type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Kind of get all this kind of stuff worked out and compartmentalized. As you can see on the in the chat, hit the link, go on over there. I'm looking on my phone. If I see you, and you know what I'm saying, I get you modded up real quick. Let me get on over here, make sure I ain't miss nobody. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to everybody, though. You know what I'm talking about? But, man, he talking about Kobe, man. This is crazy. This is crazy to me, man. The Bishop Larry Elders is dropping jewels right now. Let me get... Man, it's bananas out here. Let's go ahead and mod my guy up. Let me get my guy up. Mod it up. Man, boom. All right, now that I see what I'm saying. Hey, but yeah, man, I had to stop it, man, when the brother get to talking about Kobe Jelly Bean Bryant, man. I got to be able to look, hey man, come on with it, man. Shout out to Jelly Bean Bryant once again and his daughter as well, you know what I'm saying, and everybody that perished, you know what I'm saying. Well, you know what I'm saying, they're sorely missed, you know what I'm saying, so.
As of this morning, 40% of that land where Kobe died is owned by Larry Fink in the Black Rock Fund. I'm not blaming George Soros. I'm not blaming Larry Fink. My assignment is to connect the dots It is up to you, the American people, to come up with your proper conclusion as we are exposing this demonic hip-hop crime syndicate. Jacob Rothschild owns both the Blackstone Group and he also owns the Carlyle Group. Pray for me, Pastor Bethany. The missing Malaysian Flight 370 disappeared on March 8, 2014, where you had 239 passengers. 12 of them were crew people flying out of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, going to Beijing. 21 of those people on board, Pastor Bethany, were Chinese and Malaysian nationals who worked for a company called Freescale Semiconductor out of Austin, Texas, that is ran by the Central Intelligence Agency. How is it that we can even see a quarter from millions of miles away through a satellite, but you cannot locate one plane? I will tell you where that plane is. It's on an island called Diego Garcia, and that's all I'm saying. 21 Chinese and Malaysian nationals had designed a microcontroller chip called the ARM, A-R-M, microcontroller KL-03 microchip that could control stock markets at the stroke of a computer key, that can bring down financial markets at the stroke of a computer key, that can take over a jet plane, 9/11, that can bring down a helicopter, Kobe Bryant, at the stroke of a key. Why would Jacob Rothschild go to that extent to have that plane disappear? Because that flight was going to Beijing, and these 21 Chinese Malaysian nationals were to meet with Chinese intelligence leaders of the Ministry of State Security, which is the Chinese equivalent of the American CIA. 3 days after the March 8th, 2014 tragedy where that plane disappeared, 3 days later, on March the 11th, guess who became the sole owner of the patent of the ARM microcontroller KL-03 patent rights? Jacob Rothschild. And Jacob Rothschild also runs not just BlackRock, but Blackstone, and get this, the Blackstone Group owns a song management corporation out of London called Hypnosis. Wait. HIPGNOSIS. Mercurides. A Greek is only the CEO of Hypnosis, but he doesn't own the company. Who owns it? Jacob Rothschild through both the BlackRock Corporation and the Blackstone Fund. You're dealing with demons. Hypnosis. hip hop. The Blackstone Group has over $10 trillion of assets globally. Now, every Black secret society was Rothschild created, Rockefeller created and designed. The Boule Secret Society on the 15th of May in 1904 in the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 9 Black men, beginning with Dr. Henry McKee and all the way down to Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, who had subsidized with Margaret Sanger money, paid off the Black pastors in 1929 of the Harlem Pastoral Alliance that at the time was led by Dr. Adam Clayton Powell Sr., whose son, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., would eventually take over the church, the Abyssinian Baptist Church. So the African American pastors were paid $500 each in January of 1929. Why? To allow Margaret Sanger not just to come in these Black churches, but to set up the first Black abortion clinic in Harlem in February of 1929 on the corner of 125th and Lenox. In other words, to these Black pastors, the life of a child is only worth $500. So the Broadbent family runs the hip hop industry. Viacom, Sony, Universal, Warner. Here comes the bloodlines. Now, as a side point, let me get a drink of tea here. Can I take my time, Pastor Bethany? The global system of the hip hop crime syndicate. Who was involved with the missing Malaysian Flight 370? BlackRock, Blackstone, the Carlyle Group at the time was ran by the Bushes, and the Bin Laden Group. Osama bin Laden was a creature of the CIA. What do you mean by that, Bishop? It means the agency created him. Oh, let me take my time. Listen, the agency created Osama bin Laden, set him up to go to Harvard, matriculated through the American educational system through Harvard, sent him back to the Middle East, first to Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and then eventually Afghanistan. If you remember the war between Russia, the Soviet Union, and the Afghanistan government, going back to 1988, 3 years before the fall of the Soviet Union, the United States was supplying both sides of the war, supplying Osama bin Laden with weapons and supplying the Russian Federation with weapons. Osama bin Laden had designed the destruction of the Twin Towers. Here's why. The Bush family owed Osama bin Laden drug money. I want you to hear me tonight. Bin Laden was owed drug, cocaine, and opium money. That's why the Western powers and the global powers hate President Trump, because he was bombing these cocaine opium labs in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan. Because 80% of the poppy, the heroin traffic, comes up out of Afghanistan. Listen, I gotta blow my nose. Listen, forgive me. You see, no one is teaching this on this level. Wait a minute now. So Joe Biden left hundreds of American soldiers in Afghanistan. Well, who runs the drug trade? Not just in the Golden Triangle, but in the Golden Crescent of Southeastern Asia, the Chinese. That's how the Bidens have become rich, because of drugs. That's why the Bushes have become rich, because of drugs. They hate President Trump because President Trump knows their mess. We're still exposing, out of Ephesians 6 and 12, the hip hop crime syndicate. So Bin Laden sent a message to George Bush. George Bush was at an elementary school reading a cartoon book. One of his aides came up and said the Twin Towers are under attack. Bush knew why, because he owed the Bin Laden Group, which is supposed to be a construction corporation, when in reality the Bin Laden Group controls billions of dollars worth of drug, cocaine, opium money. So New York was attacked because of a debauchement of a drug trade. I'm going to give you some time to pick up your jaws from the floor. I got some ticket insurance because people are not teaching this. As a side note, there was more than just 2,900 people that died. According to my estimate, over 10,000 people. Government is lying. Now, the bloodlines. Edgar Brofman Jr., who ran Viacom, had bought the Black Entertainment TV network for pennies on the dollar. See, Blackwood don't know anything about business. They don't. And I said last year when, listen, I went to a red carpet event last year, and I told someone that personally knows Dr. Dre, I said, why did he sell the Dre headphone beats just for $500 million? I said, what did you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Bishop? I said, if I was Dre, I would have sold it for $1 billion. I said it because Apple has it. So the Brofman family, coming up out of Germany, were slave owners. 10% of the Brofman bloodline married into the Adler family out of Hamburg, where the descendants now control Las Vegas gambling. 15%, I got the best staff on there, 15% of the Adlers had changed their name from Adler to Gershon. Gerson, which through the centuries, the Gershons took over Universal Music Publications Group. 5% of the Gershons married into the Sylvester family through the generations and eventually took over Sony Music. You see where I'm going with this? 8% of the Sylvesters married into the Klein bloodline. Klein, who then would change their name from Klein to Davis, which would be a blood progenitor foundation for Clyde Davis. The Davis bloodline, going back as early as 1750, 12% of the Clyde bloodline that changed their name to Davis had changed their name from Clyde to a Russian name, Blavatnik. Wait a minute now. The Blavatnik family, Blavatnik, which centuries, you see, the devil doesn't want me to teach us. Centuries later, the Blavatnik family creates Access Industries that now owns Warner Music. Wait. Let me get a drink of tea. I said to myself this morning, you telling me that the Brahmins, the Adlers, the Cohens, even the Geffens, the Gershons, the Sylvesters, the Kleins, the Davises, the Blavatnik family are all related. Whether they know that or not, they don't know. But they run the music plantation here in Los Angeles. Now let's go to the key verse. Oh, the gospel according to St. John. Is your minds blown tonight? Is your minds blown? Put up those faces if your minds are blown. John 11, 43 and 44. Lazarus come forth. He was already dead for 4 days. This was an apostolic encounter of the fourth kind. Normally under Jewish tradition, if the body of the individual was not buried within 3 days, the soul was lost forever. So Pastor Bethany, Christ purposely waited a day to let not just Israel know in Palestine, but to let the world know that I am the resurrection in the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. The Rothschilds control BlackRock in the Blackstone group connected to the Malaysian flight MH370. The BlackRock group, you better write this down. The BlackRock group and the Blackstone group is so layered, Pastor Charity. They run black secret societies. The Boule Secret Society. And the Boule is over 9 black fraternity, nine black fraternity and sorority secret societies, Greek letters, called the Greek Pan-Hellenic Divine Nine. The term pan means cornucopia or 2 horns. Black folk, you gotta stop saying, I'm a believer in Pan-Africanism. Well, number one, the term pan means cornucopia, a Greek word meaning 2 horns. See, what black folk don't know. And number 2, the term Africanism, well, the name of the continent, Pastor Bethany, was not called Africa. The name of the continent was called Alkebulan. capital ALKEBULAN, or capital AKEBULUN, which is a Coptic Egyptian word meaning the Garden of Eden. But after the Second Punic War in 202 BC, a 4-star Roman general by the name of Leo Scipio Africanus had defeated Hannibal, caused him to commit suicide, and not just destroy Carthage, which is present-day Libya, including Tanzania, but changed the name of the continent from Alkebulan to Africanus. That's called Africa today. Black people are going to make excuses why he wasn't born Africanus. Listen, his last name was Africanus. See, my job, my assignment is to help unplug you from the matrix. You know, what's going on in the world. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something is wrong. Listen. So Lazarus, come forth. Now, he couldn't walk in John 11:44 because he was mummified. He could hip and hop, but he was mummified with tattoos. Mummified with 20 pounds of gold in his teeth. The name of the continent
he can hip and he can
was
hop.
called Alkebulan. Capital ALKEBULAN,
He said he can hip and he can hop.
or
that's
capital
crazy.
AKEBULUN,
The spiritual
which is
war
a
called
Coptic
hip hop.
Egyptian word meaning the Garden of Eden. But after the Second Punic War in 202 BC, a 4-star Roman general by the name of Leo Scipio Africanus had defeated Hannibal, caused him to commit suicide, and not just destroy Carthage, which is present-day Libya, including Tanzania, but changed the name of the continent from Alkebulan to Africanus. That's called Africa today. Black people are going to make excuses why he wasn't born Africanus. Listen, his last name was Africanus. See, my job, my assignment is to help unplug you from the matrix. You know, what's going on in the world. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something is wrong. Listen. So Lazarus, come forth. Now, he couldn't walk in John 11:44 because he was mummified. He could hip and hop, but he was mummified with tattoos. Mummified with 20 pounds of gold in his teeth. 50 pounds of gold around his neck. He was mummified today with grave clothes that are sagging. Write down the term sagging, S-A-G-G-I-N, and write it from right to left. You get the demonic psyop of N-I-G-G-A-S. It is a demonic psyop. That's the code word for the hip hop crime syndicate. If you add the letter G at the end of sagging, write that down rabbinically right to left, and you get G, N-I-G-G-A-S, sorry, G unit, and 50 cents creation called Gene Unit. They're drug runners for the Genovese family. I said it. They're drug runners for the Genovese family. So you got the Rothschilds, the 5 Khazarian families underneath the Rothschilds. Then you have the 5 Italian families out of New York. It's layered. Then you have the Negroes at the bottom feeders killing each other. With a Hennessy on one hand and their hand touching the behind of a transvestite. That's the hip hop crime syndicate. Every black secret society and black mafia in America provide the muscle for La Cosa Nostra. Both the Italian families and the Khazarian mafia, and I'm not talking about Jewish people. The Bonanno crime family, the Colombo crime family, the Gambino crime family, the Genovese crime family, and the Lucchese crime family, they are the 5 families of New York City, including the Chicago outfit in Chicago, and many of your mafia families throughout the United States, in Buffalo and in Phoenix, Arizona, and here in Los Angeles and all over the world. So the black gay mafia and the Boulay Secret Society. Now the Boulays has that logo that's tattooed on the chest of LeBron James. LeBron James is involved in mess. Someone sent me, I think it was Pastor Sam, had sent me a photo some time ago of LeBron James going to a Jewish wedding. Do you remember that? I think it was Pastor Sam or Pastor Jabari or both of you, okay? Now, what I don't understand, LeBron James is connected to the Schottenstein family out of Columbus, Ohio, who are connected to the Lolita Express of Jeffrey Epstein. LeBron James attended a wedding back in May of this year, holding hands with a devil by the name of Yoshia Pinto. Yoshhiyahu Pinto, a defrauded rabbi. We're told he went to prison because he bribed the police. But why did he bribe the police? Yoshhiyahu Pinto, because he ran a major pedophile underground network. Why would LeBron James be connected to him? You are dealing with the system, ladies and gentlemen, of demons. The Bloods and Crips. This is heavy. This is really heavy, Pastor Jabari. Let me get a drink into here. Listen. The Bloods were created in 1969. Correction. Thank you, Holy Spirit. The Crips were created in 1969. The Bloods were created in 1972. Thank you, Pastor Jabari. Now, you're taught that Tookie Williams and Raymond Washington had created the Bloods and Crips, including the Pyrus. Pyrus had joined both forces, Bloods and Crips. The term Pyru is the name of a demon in Finnish. F-I-D-D-E. W-N-I-S-H, Finnish, or demonology out of Finland. The term pyro means smart aleck. How many times have you used that term? I'm going to say something that's radical. Raymond Washington later was taken out because he was talking to people of his family, to the local press, who really created the Bloods and the Crips. It was the Central Intelligence Agency. Why would the CIA contract two young men, Raymond Washington, whom they later took out in a drive-by, and Tookie Williams? Let me say something in Tookie's defense. Tookie Williams got the death penalty because he was set up by the United States government. I said it. Pastor Jabari, Tookie Williams wanted to leave this demonic plantation. So they put out a lie that he robbed a 7-Eleven and killed 3 people. That was a lie. I'm not saying he was perfect. And then they electrocuted him because he knew too much. So why would the CIA create both the Crips in 69, Pyros, and the Bloods in 72? Because of the fall of the original Black Panther Party. Now, the only thing I disagree with the Black Panther Party, the original one, is their doctrine of communism. That's demonic. Everything else I support. Lunch programs for the children, medical programs for the children. I see nothing wrong with that. And as much as we love Ronald Reagan, but Reagan was the governor of California during the height of the Black Panthers, right, in the mid to late 60s. And the Panthers marched on the Capitol. Did you see the movie Panther? Okay. Directed by Mario Van Peebles in his father. I met Mario Van Peebles last year. A great man. So after the FBI had neutralized the Panthers, that vacuum, Pastor Craig and Sam, needed to be filled with Bloods and Crips. The original Panthers did not deal in crack. The original Panthers did not deal in cocaine or opium. They didn't kill each other. Wait. Who was Pastor Sam? One of the leaders of the Panthers, light complected brother, big afro, and highly educated. Can't remember his name, but he was shot, we're told. He was shot over a drug deal. That is a straight up lie. None of the Panthers were involved in drugs. Okay? Thank you, Wallbanker. Oh my God. Thank you. I'm going to say something that's radical. I do not agree with the communist slant of the Panthers. Okay? But if you remove the disease of communism from the Panthers and from Huey Newton, they were patriots. Because they were sick and tired of cops coming into the community and killing black folk like it was nothing. So J. Edgar Hoover, with the help of the CIA, Pastor Bethany, we have to neutralize them. How do we do that? By filling Oakland, California with drugs and cocaine and opium and later crack cocaine. So the 5 families of New York, the Bonanos, the Colombos, the Gambinos, the Genovese and the Lucchese still run these black gangs to this day. But the black gangs don't know that because it's so compartmentalized. So in John 11:44, he came out with grave clothes, wearing sagging, or N-I-G-G-A-S, or sagging with a G, G-N-I-G-G-S, or G unit. That's all he knows. Oh, they call so wait a minute. They call each other dog. Hey, dog. Wait a minute. The word of the Lord did not say that you were designed to be a dog. Christ said in Mark 5, what is your name? The demon is saying today, 50 Cent. What is your name? Snoop Dogg. What is your name? Little Bow Wow. What is your name? Ice T, Ice Cube, Ice Dre, Ice Pop, Icicle, 6'9", 5'6", 7'8", 4'11". You're nothing but fools, and you're nothing but slaves. Why can't this system allow you to use your real name? Because we're the only group of people on the planet who don't know who we are. The Corsican Sicilian Mafia, along with the Lucchese family, runs the Bloods and the Crips out of Atlanta, Georgia. Uh-oh. So the CIA, through the 5 Italian families being overseen by Rothschilds, Warburgs, Oppenheimers, Pritzker, and Soreses, are the handlers for P. Diddy. P. Diddy, his handler, is the Genovese crime family. P. Diddy had set up both Tupac and set up Biggie. The bullet was meant for D. Pity, not for Tupac and not for Biggie. Wait. In the car that Tupac was in the passenger seat, Tupac's glass was the only glass in the vehicle that was not bulletproof. Oh my God! Suge Knight knew that. And Tupac's girlfriend was in the back seat. Cadena Jones, one of the daughters of Quincy Jones, who wanted to butt break Tupac. But Pac said no. On the night that Biggie was taken out, he went to a party at the house of Quincy Jones. And Biggie turned down Quincy. Quincy Jones is a 33rd degree Prince Hall Mason. He's a butt breaker. I said it. Let's continue to expose the hip hop crime syndicate. I'll come back to P. Diddy here in a minute. Jay-Z runs an organization called the Avlins, AVLN, which was absorbed by Rockefeller Records. Though Jay-Z owns the label of Rockefeller, but the Rockefeller family through Atlantic Records owns Jay-Z. See, you're not taught this. The Chicago outfit through the Colombo crime family also out of New York, controls Jay-Z in his witch of a transgender wife, Beyonce. I said it, transgender. You said, I've got the testicular fortitude to say what needs to be said. There's no fear
God damn it. The truth
in the apostle. Stay there in John 11:44. We're exposing the global Luciferic industrial complex, the hip-hop crime syndicate. A family out of Rome, the Colonna family, Colonna. They are the financial managers for the Rothschilds, including for those in the Chinese government. The Colonna family, they are the handlers for the rapper RZA. RZA, a 33rd degree Prince Hall Mason. See, if you want to be a Prince Hall Mason, you got to be butt broken. Let me give you an example. Listen, can I take my time? Nearly 5,000 years ago, during the time of the prophet Moses, if anyone, thank you, Pastor Craig, wanted to see Pharaoh, I want you to listen. A man had to sleep with a male magician. A woman had to sleep with a female magician. If a child wanted access to Pharaoh, thank you, Pastor Bethany, had to sleep with another child or a man or a woman.
Oh my God!
Nothing has changed. So when Tupac and Biggie declined Quincy Jones to be butt broken, then it led to their assassinations. Who created East Coast and West Coast? This East Coast and West Coast war, the Central Intelligence Agency. The 5 Italian families oversee the Bloods and the Crips, and the 5 Khazarian families of Rothschilds, Warburgs, Oppenheimers, Pritzkers, and Soros. They oversee the 5 Italian families who oversee Bloods and Crips, who are the enforcers for the Black diaspora in connection to hip hop. It's layered. The German term for Cain is DNA, or what we call blood. The German term for Abel is crib or coffin. So in Genesis chapters 4 and 5, Cain, the blood, rose up against Abel, his crib brother, and slew him. Guess what? Nothing has changed. So the blood and Crips had to perform blood oaths of drive-bys, assassinations. Ever since at least 1972, over 50,000 Black and Latino and Asian people have been slaughtered in South Central alone because of your Bloods and Crips operating without knowledge. Yes, they don't have fathers, but they're used by the CIA to perform blood Luciferic sacrifices. The family called the Day Cavalcanti family interesting. Capital D-E space, capital C-A-V-A-L-C-A-N-T. The D Cavalcanti family, also out of Rome, along with the Orsinos and the Farnese, those demonic, fraudulent paintings. These families exist today, and they are the handlers for 50 Cent. You'll never know this. How many of you, stay there in John 11:44, the global system of the hip-hop crime syndicate. How many of you have heard of this former NBA player, Lorenzen Wright? Oh man, I feel my help coming now. Stay there in John 11:44. Lorenzen Wright played 13 seasons in the NBA. The National Basketball Association is nothing but a crime syndicate. Look how they reacted to both Kanye West and Kyrie Irving. But there's a generation of us, as the original Jews, you can't punk us. Pastor Craig, Pastor Sam, did you see over 2,000 of the black Hebrews? They were saying Trump tribes. I said it. That's what they said, Pastor Joe. They're not scared of you. Listen, Rothschilds were not scared of you. Because Pastor Sam, they know that their time is up. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lorenzen Wright, drafted as the 7th pick in the 1996 draft, who played 13 seasons. In that same draft, someone named Kobe Bryant was drafted as the 13th pick. Initially drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, and they traded his rights to the LA Lakers. Lorenzen Wright played 13 seasons. Kobe Bryant was drafted as the 13th pick of the 1996 draft. See, the Illuminati specializes in blood sacrificing through numbers. On the back of the dollar bill, it shows a pyramid that I call pyramid. Do you guys remember Pastor Sam and Pastor Craig, Pastor Bethany? I can't remember when, but I was teaching about there was 2 people at the bottom right-hand corner of the skull looking at us, or the bottom left-hand corner of the pyramid we looking at it. If you take a magnifying glass, you remember it looks like a male being but breaking by another male. Only the Holy Spirit can reveal this. There are 13 steps on the pyramid on the back of the $1 US bill. 13 from the foundation to the top. The Latin number system, 1776. The same year that the Illuminati, and let me bust your ball. You see, the Illuminati was not actually created in 1776. It was actually designed through the serpent. Why is it, oh Lord have mercy, let me wipe some of the anointing off. Why is it that I had asked the Lord this about a year ago? Lord, why is it that women have premenstrual cycles? Stay there in John 11:44. The Lord said, Bishop, look at the term menstrual. Prior to the fall of Lucifer, it means illuminator. NATO summit, illumination, Illuminati. God will not illuminate you. God will illuminate you. Christ did not say, I am the Illuminati or the illumination of the world. Christ said, I am the light or the illumination of the world. Don't get it twisted. The Lord said in Genesis chapter 4, verse 1, the term bear is a transliteration of a Persian term that is now English called Mendenhall. M-E-N-D-E-N Hall. Men Den Masonic Hall. If you go on the Urban Dictionary and type in Mendenhall, it means to mount up someone from behind while they are in a fetal position on the ground. After the deed is complete, you roll them over and see the humiliation in their eyes. This is what we call a prenatal position. That's why mothers, for 9 months, your child is shaped like the number 6. That's a Mendenhall position, letting you know what happened to the woman. And at the 9th month, the head and the feet turn upside down, and the number 6 becomes the number 9. Isaiah 9:6, unto us a child is born. Matthew 6:9, the Lord's Prayer, another topic for another day. So the woman who was named Eve after her fall, her name was not Eve before the fall. So the term bear in Genesis 4:1, it means the woman was raped. How do you know that, Bishop? There are 45 documental books that the Vatican extracted. I promise you, I'm going to do a series on that, beginning with the books or the volumes of Adam and Eve. Well, Bishop, you told us she was spirit, yes, but when she came in close proximity to the serpent, she lost that supernaturality and became what we call today pigmentation. Oh, so Christ cast out the legion into the herd of swine. The swine is the characteristics of a pigmentation. So get away from your skin color. Your skin is going to the dust. I'm going to say something that's radical. Your blackness is not who you are. I said it, your blackness is not who you are.
Yo, peace, smoke. Shout out to Smoke Signal. Jeannie C, I see you. No doubt. We got, the bishop be dropping some jewels. Hey, like I said before, you know what I'm saying? We trying to keep everything compartmentalized, you know what I'm saying? So on Supreme Chief Holiday, it's going to be nothing but knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Information, you know what I'm saying? That rocks and rules and builds nations. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? On I Don't Give a Fuck Sports and News, we're going to do a little bit of sports news and a little bit of entertainment over there. And over on DJ Cuddy, we're going to do all nothing but music, entertainment type stuff, you know what I'm saying? And when we're offline, I have all the indigenous music that y'all be hearing in the mix show. I have all of that stuff available, you know, and it'll be a 24-hour mix going on there. So shout out to everybody here. Shout out to the Bishop Larry Elders. If y'all don't mind traveling over to DJ Kuttack 1. That way y'all can be able to Let me see if I can get this right. That way y'all can be able to catch everything when it drops and stuff. So shout out to everybody once again. Hey, I see you, Adrian. Shout out to you, sis. All right, back to the elder.
Your blackness is what you are, but it's not who you are. What you are is going 6 feet under. Who you are as spirit is going back to Christ who gave it. But people have been tricked by the devil. They want people, especially the diaspora, they want you to hold on and attach to your fallen state. There's not one scripture in the word that says black skin's going to heaven. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's there, I will apologize to the. There's not one scripture that says black skin, white skin, yellow skin, brown, beige is going to heaven. That is just the house. But what people want to do today, Pastor Moore, they want to change even the design of the house from a man to a woman, or from a woman to a man. You can cut it off, or you can sew it on. Whether you cut it off or whether you sew it on, a man is still a man, a woman is still a woman. So Eve was but broken. The term bear in Genesis 4:1, she gave birth to Abel, but bare Cain. Cain was of the DNA of the serpent. Cain's DNA, his direct ribonic acid, his RNA ribonic acid, was from not Adam, but the serpent. Blood. His brother Abel's father was Adam. I want to say something that's radical. Cain's father was the serpent. His mother was the woman Eve. Abel's father was Adam. But Abel's mother was Lilith. This is where we get the term Lucifer, Lucy-fer. That is the feminine side of the masculine side of Lucifer, and Lucifer is the masculine side of the feminine side of Lilith, or Lucifer. That is a revelation. Over 1.5 years ago, Pastor Sam, I was not afraid, but I said, well, you want me to, God says, go through it again, Bishop. Cain's father was the serpent. Cain's mother was the woman Eve. Abel's father was Adam. Abel's mother was Lilith, or Lucifer. But the Vatican took out that part because they don't want you to know that this flesh that a lot of you adore, every Black History Month, you're nothing but a hybrid. Lord, please give me strength. What is a hybrid? Because in Genesis 3:6, the term wise means Homo sapien. Wait a minute now. Well, Bishop, I'm a human being. No. The term human, according to the 1930 and 48 Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, which also represents Roman law, the term human means monster. There is nowhere in the scripture will you see the term human. It doesn't exist. Listen, because in the beginning, God did not call the seas ocean. The deep state of the Vatican put in that term ocean later, but the the term ocean is the name of a transgender god goddess, Oceanakos, in Greek mythology. Oh, God created the sun. No, God created the greater light. And later in Genesis, because of the 325 AD conference in Nicaea, Turkey, when Constantine and his homosexual lover, Pope Sylvester, had placed in the term sun, which is the name of a Roman god, Sol, S-O-L. You see, you're destroyed from the lack of knowledge. So wait a minute now. There is a term that I want you to write down. And many of you are here for the first time. It's called heterosuperfecundation. Oh, let the apostle teach. Heterosuperfecundation. Capital H-E-T-E-R-O. Superfecundation, capital S-U-P-E-R-F-E-C-U-N-D-A-T-I-O-N. Heterosuperfecundation is a medical phenomenon. It's a curse. It means a mother has what they call fraternal twins. This is where you get the term fraternity. Fraternal twins. One of the twins both of the twins belong to her. But both of the twins don't belong to the same father. So the first heteropaternal superfecundation took place in Genesis 4:1. And now the goal of Lucifer. Now take the term Lucifer to decipher, and write it rabbinically from right to left, because Hebrew is written from right to left. It becomes a Latin Vulgate term, recycle, which means the recycling of fecal matter. And so sick and tired of the saints of Christ, when they're testifying, the devil, listen. The first letter of Lucifer, L. First letter of Satan, S. First letter of devil, LSD. So then the nature of the bloodline, both in Cain and Abel, can be clearly seen in Ezekiel 28:13. The first 3 stones are on the breastplate of Tyrus. Ty means attachment. Rus is a Persian term meaning lenol. Ooh, wait a minute now. Wait. Lenol. And the term lenol, when transliterated into the Greek text, is pharmakia, pharmaceutical, sorcery, and witchcraft. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want us to get a strike or be taken down. The Lord wants me to stay there in Genesis chapters 4 and 5. So Cain, connect the names Cain to the word Abel, you get the term cannibal or cannibalism. That's what the Bloods and Crips are. That's not who they are, that's what they become. So the hip hop crime syndicate, not just in John 11:43 and 44, but wait a minute now, what was the mark that God put upon Cain? See, Cain left the presence of the Lord and dwelt on the land of Nod. And the term Nod, this is where we get the term to nod off, on the east of Eden. A lot of you have been teaching erroneously that God excommunicated Adam and the woman out of Eden. No, he excommunicated them out of the garden that was on the east side of Eden. So God set a mark. Now, prior to the 325 AD conference, the word of the Lord did not have words that were separated. Some of you might have to call off tomorrow for work. So the word of the Lord prior to the 325 AD conference in Nicene, Turkey, was all one sentence. So in Genesis, Pastor Sam, Pastor Jody Bird, there is an anointing here tonight. In Genesis 4, verse 10, God is asking the blood a question about his brother Crip. What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother Crip crieth unto the ground. God is the Father. A mother in type and shadow is the earth, not to be worshipped. But the blood of Abel, Cain and Abel, cannibalism, the blood of Abel, the Crip, had a voice cried out from the ground or from their grandmother's womb. Wait a minute now. Who gave birth to them? To the twins, Eve, and then Adam and Eve from the ground. So the blood, God had asked me about 10 years ago. He said, Bishop, who was the first one to be born from his grandmother's womb? I said, what? He said, who was the first one? I said, I don't know. Lord, can you tell me? God says, no. So the blood of the grandson, both of God and of the earth, that blood was Abel. Verse 16, Lord have mercy. Genesis 4:16. So Cain went from the presence of the Lord and joined. Wait a minute. If there is a land of Nod, wait a minute now. Where did those people come from? Pastor Pamela? Those people in the land of Nod, which means to nod off or to sleep, those people represent the pre-Adamite age prior to Genesis chapter 2. Now, God, to my understanding, set a mark. Wait a minute, wait. So in Genesis 4, if you connect the words set a mark, it becomes an interesting Persian term, set a mark, which is a translation into the Greek as caucasoid. I'm not teaching critical race theory. I'm not teaching Black liberation theology. What I'm teaching you is the pure, authentic, unadulterated, the truth. God, in his wisdom, wait a minute now, set a mark. Now, that doesn't mean God cursed him. Set a mark in Persian that becomes a Greek Hellenistic term, caucasoid or Caucasian. This is where you get the term the caucus, the Black Caucus. So God set a mark upon this man of color, not to curse him, but to protect him from the elements, because he's going to be forced into what we call Eastern, Central, and Western Europe today. I want to say something that's radical. Wait a minute now. God set a mark. So Cain became, because of the murder of his brother, the blood, or Cain, of the crib of Abel. Because of the murder from the blood, Cain, upon his brother, the crib, Abel, Cain was the first Caucasian. I gotta go. You're not ready for this. See what I'm doing? I'm slowly unplugging. And I don't care what color they were, but we have to concentrate on the text. God had bleached him not as a curse, but as grace to protect him from the elements of Nod, which is around Eastern, Central, and Western Europe. Do you understand how powerful this is? But the serpent, before his fall, was the choir director in the 10 heavens. And Lucifer was called the minstrel. Oh, Lord have mercy. But what he put inside of a fallen woman who became flesh, Eve, was an entity called premenstrual cycles. You have never heard of this before. Let's concentrate. I'll get to the bushes later, but concentrate. Wait a minute now. So women, you have premenstrual cycles. God did not breathe that into you. Come on. God did not ordain the woman to initially have morning sickness. God did not ordain you, women, to go into labor. But Bishop, the word says in Genesis 26 and 27, to multiply. Wait a minute now. Bishop, it says to multiply. I'm going to blow my nose. Listen. You've been told that the term or terms multiply and replenish meant children. No. The children did not come until after the fall. So what did God mean by that in Genesis 1:26 and 1:27? Multiply and replenish. He says, I want you to duplicate your creativity. I want you to multiply the apostolic meiosis and multiply as Pentecostal meiosis. I want you to multiply your creativity. It has nothing to do with having children. This is because of the lack of knowledge. And so, write this down. Oh, Lord have mercy.
That's right.
When you look at the term, ladies and gentlemen, that has been given to a man. Can I teach? Lord have mercy.
True power, goddamn.
Highness.
The true power.
I'm going around saying the actual word because I don't want us to get straight. penis, Penis. Now, in Greek antiquity, you see, 95% of the names of your body parts, God did not name them. The Greek medical world, beginning with and through the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath is not an oath of blessing. Matter of fact, Christ forbids us to oath. No taking of an oath. Christ said that in the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew 5. When you rabbinically look at the word penis from right to left, it becomes the name of a goddess, a female, within Greek antiquity, Sinep. And the part that has been given, not by God, but the name has been given by the centuries through the deep state medical world for a woman, clitoris. But in Greek antiquity, clitoris was not the name of a woman. It was the name in the title of a male nobleman. It's called inversion. You see, when I'm slowly unplugging you from the matrix. So women had premenstrual cycles because of her being butt broken by the minstrel. The serpent was the body organ of Lucifer. Now, in my conclusion, we're going to have to come back to this. This is volume 1 of exposing the system of the hip hop industry. Is your mind's blown? Look at this. Now, go back to, and matter of fact, as you go back to John 11, 43, 44, now remember that concerning Cain and Abel. Now, it's to my understanding, Pastor Sam, that not only was there twins like Cain and Abel, I'm going to say something radical. God just gave me a revelation. Go to, keep a marker there in Genesis 4:1, and then go back to also to John 11:43.
Hey, shout out to Lime.
That's
man,
right. That's right.
For the
The reason why
That's
children
right.
of God, that women down through the centuries had been gave and birthed twins because of the fall of the woman. The multiply and replenish earth has nothing to do with children. Children don't come until after the fall. So then in Genesis 3:15, the seed of the woman, because a woman doesn't have a seed, that's Christ in prophecy, shall bruise the head of the psychology of the seed of the serpent. So twins is just a medical offspring of the fall. And that's why women have premenstrual cycles, because of her contact with the minstrel, Lucifer, the serpent. Take the word Lucifer and write it rabbinically from right to left. Again, it becomes a Latin Vulgate expression. Recycle, which means the recycling of fecal matter. That's all Satan is. So in John 11:44, loose him and let him go. Lorenzen Wright was taken out. We're told, Pastor Sam, that he was taken out on the 18th of July, 2010. by his ex-wife, Cheryl Wright, and two men, Billy Ray Turner and Jimmy Martin. But who hired them? It wasn't Miss Wright. I'll tell you the reason why Lorenzo Wright was taken out. He called 911 because he knew he was going to die. Who is that NFL tight end? What's his name? Gonzalez, who had taken out his friend. Okay. What's his name? Pastor Sam. The former tight end for the New England Patriots. We're told that he hung himself. Okay. So Lorenzo Wright, thank you, Hernandez. So Lorenzo Wright called 911, and the police could hear 11 gunshots that blew away Lorenzo Wright. The Dixie mob in Memphis contracted them. But who contracted the Dixie mob? Lorenzo Wright knew that David Stern was complicit in rigging NBA games. And Lorenzo Wright knew this. And Lorenzo Wright knew that the NBA was nothing but a criminal organization. Another NFL. So Lorenzo Wright was blasted because the NBA is a part of the hip hop crime syndicate. Guess who owned major shares in both the NBA and the NFL? A man by the name of Jeffrey Epstein. Kobe Bryant knew Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to say, let me get a drink of tea. Listen, if you guys are tired, you want me to stop, I'll stop. And I'm not coming back to teach next week because I have to rest. It's going to be 2 weeks. I can hear the Lord speak through Pastor Sam. Bishop, keep teaching. The origin of the National Football League came up out of the institution of slavery through a man by the name of Willie Lynch. He taught the slave masters of the South not just separating one of the young ones from the older ones, the dark ones from the light ones. It still existed then. But he also taught a cruel way of punishment towards slaves by decapitating the heads of their children. Not every slave master did this, but most slave masters did this. And if a slave parent talked back to the system had gotten one of the foremen on the plantation, put the head of a child on the tree stump, cut off his head, take the head of the child, dip it in brown paint. Then take the skull that was dipped in brown paint, and Hernandez, thank you, D. Brown, into a cotton field or a wheat field for 24 to 48 hours. Bring that skull back. The slave master would gut a pig, place the head of the skull of a black child, stuff it inside of the gut of a pig, sew it up, and there was always a party that night of the children on the plantation, including all the children and other slaves, would kick that pig. That's why the object of football is called the pigskin. It came out of slavery. James Naismith did not create the NBA or basketball. Same thing. Cut off, decapitate the head of a child, or a male or a female slave who talked. Okay? The slave master would build apple crates that you call rims and nets today, and would allow his children to throw the skull in the bread basket, and many times skulls would crack when they hit the ground. So this was taught by Willie Lynch as well, not just the origin of the entity of football, but the origin of the entity of a basketball. In the lining of a basketball was actually a sigil symbol of a curse. When you look at a slave ship, the Lord had revealed this to me some time ago. He said, Bishop, look on Google Images, not all slave ships, but a great number. He said, concentrate on it. What does that look like, Bishop? And it came to me, Pastor said, oh my Lord, it looks like an athletic tennis shoe, or what we call sneakers. Well, the term sneaker came from the plantation, where the slave master would design rubber sole shoes for the slaves to creep and to sneak on of the plantations to steal livestock and corn and wheat.
Shame. Shame.
Now the global athletic shoe industrial complex is shaped like a slave ship.
Oh my God.
Ooh, I'm almost done. Wait a minute. The global athletic shoe is shaped like not all but most of slave ships. But you got multi-million dollar slaves in the NFL, slaves in the NBA. And even the white guys are a slave in the NHL. And Major League Baseball, it doesn't matter what color you are. And so Christ said in John 11:44, loose him and let him go. The Marcello, oh my Lord have mercy, the Marcello crime family, who still exists in New Orleans, bankrolled a young artist who calls himself Rick Ross. I want you to hear me tonight. The Maybach Music Group is not actually owned by Rick Ross. It's owned by the Marcello family, who are handlers for many of the rap artists and their little music distributing labels. Listen, Snoop Dogg doesn't own, okay, Death Row. Oh, he bought, no. Who owns Death Row? Atlantic Records. You see, we have been lied to. But when you say, see this bling bling, all the girls in the Maybach cars, in the jewelry, bling bling in the mansions, that doesn't belong to most of the rappers. The Marcello crime family, as the Gulf Coast cartel, are the handlers of Rick Ross and his Maybach Music Corporation. Is your minds blown? This is layered.
True power.
The global system of the hip-hop crime syndicate, say that in John 11:44. Loose him and let him go. That's what we're trying to do tonight. The Trafficante crime family are the handlers of Gazy. Let me say this again. The Trafficante family, one of the 5 families, out of Tampa, Florida, are the handlers for Jay-Z and T.I.
That's a wicked man.
See, when you get sent to prison, you get street points. That's a fool. Jay-Z is a slave. T.I. is a slave. 50 cent, quarter, nickel, penny, Ice T, Ice Cube, Ice Tray, Icicle, Ice Pop.
That's right.
Eminem melted it off. Lil Kim, Big Fat Dog, they're nothing but slaves.
True power, goddammit.
I went to the Super Bowl last year and went to a dinner. I'm very careful what functions I go to, okay? Because if there's young people there, I leave. I don't stay. And many times I just don't go. So I'm led of the Lord to go to certain events that the bishop can have an apostolic impact. Write this down. A man by the name of Clayton Hill, former member of the Nation of Islam.
That's a wicked man.
In a legal affidavit in May of 1997, he said Clayton Hill was ordered by the NOI to take possession of a handgun from a fellow NOI member named Dawood Muhammad.
Woo! Somebody got to do something to these
Dawood Muhammad was contracted by the Trafficante family, covering both Florida and the Eastern Seacoast, to liquidate Biggie Smalls. I said, wait a minute now, a former NOI member, Farrakhan would deny to his dying breath. Clayton Hill said that Dawood Muhammad was paid $25,000 through Clayton Hill himself, connected to the Trafficante family out of Florida and Georgia, to destroy both East Coast and West Coast. This is what demons do.
Very
they
raw,
support both sides
truth
of the aisle. It doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. 2 heads of the same snake. There's like the Civil War, okay? North and South, South and North. Rothschilds supply both sides, and after they kill each other, Rothschilds come in and clean up the place. In a legal affidavit through a book called The Diary of an Ex-Terrorist, it says that Dawood Muhammad was boasting about the payment he received from the Trafficante family handlers of receiving 25,000 G's to take out Notorious B.I.G. You see, our own people, nothing has changed. A man by the name of Dexter Isaac admitted under a legal affidavit that he robbed Tupac in 1994. Get this, under the orders of a Gambino crime family handler, James Jimmy Henchman.
That's crazy.
Roseman.
Very raw.
See,
raw truth.
On the plantation.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can't take that.
So in 1994, Was it 2.5 years before, 3 years before Tupac was taken out, supposedly. Now, I've been hearing now he's in Cuba. Another topic for another day. Dexter Isaac was contracted through James Jimmy Hitchman Roseman of the Czar Entertainment Group, who was the former manager of the rapper called The Game, who now, James Jimmy Hitchman Roseman, is spending life in prison for the attempted murder of Lo Fletcher.
Going down the line, going
as Lodi Mac. You're dealing with demons. Why? Because no one is loosing them and letting them go. In John 11:44, Hip Hop Crime Syndicate. The mobster, a handler representing the Trafficante family, a man by the name of Vincent Lo Scalzo, Scalzo, Vincent Lo Scalzo, is the handler for T.I.
Shame.
Representing the Trafficante family. Who do you think that got T.I. out of prison? The Trafficante family. Vincent Lo Scalzo also is the handler representing the Trafficante family out of Florida and Georgia, who controlled the 3-6 Mafia out of Memphis. The 3-6 Mafia, 666, along with the Dixie Mob, they were not destroyed, they still exist. So the Dixie Mob and the 3-6 Mafia had contracted the ex-wife of Lorenzo Wright and 2 other men to liquidate her ex-husband. But who contracted the Dixie Mob and who contracted the 3-6 Mafia? How high does this go up out himself? I'm not blaming him. Don't listen. And to you, the young Turks, don't go on. Listen, keep my name out of your mouth. I never said. Okay? I'm not blaming anyone, but I'm just connecting the dots concerning this evil crime syndicate famous thing there in John 11:44. The Black Mafia Entertainment family they are puppets for the Genovese and the Colombo crime family.
That's crazy.
Both out of the Chicago outfit and out of New York City. That's why Jay-Z is protected, but not for long. Biggie left a party on the 9th of March in 1997. What party? Who hosted the party? Quincy Jones, a 33rd degree Prince Hall Mason, a butt breaker. What happened to Tevin Campbell? Can I teach? What happened? Now, every time he opens his mouth, he sounds like a girl. Stop! They've been butt broken by Quincy Jones. I said it. The doctor, one of the daughters of Quincy Jones, they say they're not black, they're white. Another topic for another day. Khadija Jones, who was the girlfriend of Tupac Shakur at the time, was sitting in the back seat. Suge Knight was in the driver's seat. Brother Shakur was in the passenger seat. Whose window was the only one that did not have bulletproof glass? Tupac Shakur, because he refused to be butt broken by anyone. Suge Knight will be liquidated. I said he'll be liquidated because they will never allow him out of prison because he knows too much. Tupac was killed on September 13th, 1996, the first year of the career of one Kobe Bryant. Another topic for another day. Is your minds blown tonight? And you're right, Pastor Sam, over 1,000 listeners. Isn't that interesting? The rappers out of Chicago, Dallas, and Houston are under the protection of the Rudja organization, RUDAJ, out of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has mafia heads.
Going down the line, blowing niggas' mind.
Organization, RUDAJ, has their roots in Saudi Arabia.
That's crazy.
There is another black mafia family called the Blue Da Vinci Organization. BLEU Da Vinci. They are the black mafia covering the entire hip hop world, not just in the United States, but around the world.
No!
But they must answer to the Bonanno family out of New York City. You see, we're not free. You're only emancipated, but you're still a controlled asset of the state. Okay, they give you some breadcrumbs called Juneteenth. But you don't know anything about Juneteenth. On the 19th of June in 1865, General Gordon Granger went to Galveston, Texas at the time. In 1865 was the last bastion of slavery. So the design of Juneteenth, Gordon Granger got up on the courthouse steps of Galveston and said, and I quote, "You are hereby now free slaves." He didn't say that you are free and a liberated man, woman, and child of God. You're still a slave, but you're a free slave, which means you are nothing more than a slave who's been emancipated, but not liberated.
You Sambo ass niggas. Y'all
So
some
black
bunch of
folk go
fucking
crazy
Sambo.
because this fool, Joe Biden, gave you a crumb called Juneteenth. But that Gordon Granger who read that proclamation was later executed, Pastor Bethany and Pastor Sam. Because at the time when he established Juneteenth, he was executed and hung for running an underground pedophilia network of black children. But you didn't know. You see, you've been lied to, black folk. I'm trying to unplug you from the matrix.
Okay.
Connected to hip hop, drugs, prison, and the music industry. In my conclusion, stay there in John 11:43 and 44. Remember Barry Gordy? Oh my God, I wish I had time. Can I teach? Listen, I don't want to wear you out.
Okay.
Okay, we're still talking about the hip hop crime syndicate. Barry Gordy was a two of both the Gambino crime family and the Genovese crime family. He actually did not create Motown. It was the mob out of New York City. Oh my God. Berry Gordy had to sell Motown because the Sanhedrin Council, I'm not talking about Jewish people, I am talking about one family of the Rothschilds. They caught him, Berry Gordy, in an uncompromising position with a child. See, this is what they do.
That's crazy.
So he had to sell with the help of Jerry Heller, the former manager of NWA, and it was Jerry Heller, unbeknownst to Eazy-E and Dr. Dre and Q. They didn't know that Jerry Heller was inserted into the life of these young men who were gifted.
And that's a damn shame.
So Jerry Heller, who was at that 1991 meeting, unbeknownst to the black diaspora in Hollywood, Jerry Heller was an agent for the Mossad.
That's right. And that's a damn shame.
Black talent in the gifting of black men, not for the uplifting of our people, but for the financial uplifting of the system. What was that movie talking about NWA, Compton? Okay, there's a part, I can't remember the actor's name. Great actor, met him once. He lives in the Brooklyn area. He played Jerry Heller. In the movie, he gets upset because Q is calling out the Kazarian Mafia. But Jerry Heller did not get upset when Q was calling his own people the N-word. They don't say nothing concerning that.
That's crazy.
What amazes me. You see, Jerry Heller did not know the great intelligence of Eazy-E. So Eazy-E told Jerry, you're done, you're fired because you've been stealing money. Heller sent Eazy-E to a Chinese acupuncture shop.
That's crazy.
In Compton.
Going down the line, blowing niggas' minds.
And this is not against Chinese people. Eazy-E had contracted HIV. I said it, listen, Eazy-E contracted HIV. Why? Because of this demon, Jerry Heller. I'm not talking about Jewish, I'm talking about one family, the Rothschilds. So Berry Gordy, Motown was controlled also by the Medici crime family out of Italy. Medici, who then were the handlers for the Young Boys Incorporated out of Detroit. Do we got any people from Detroit in here? Paul Giamatti, great. Young Boys Incorporated was used as a pawn, not just for U.S. intelligence, but also used by the Massetti family out of Rome. Design Young Boys Incorporated had contracted the Chamber Brothers, speak through the Holy Spirit, the BMFs, Pony, down. So during the 70s and 80s, and most of the 90s, black folk were killing each other in Detroit. But who was pulling the strings behind the scene? The Medici cartel out of Rome. Along with the Farnese family, the Orsini family that produced those counterfeit paintings back in the 1500s. They also controlled the hip-hop industry today under the leadership of the Rothschilds. How many of you, don't leave yet, don't leave. How many of you have heard of the Cuban Mafia? The Marielito family, Marielito, not just out of Italy, but also part of the bloodline out of Cuba. The Cuban Mafia had bankrolled Bumpy Johnson. Oh, that's why I was under attack last night. The devil doesn't want me to teach this. Is that show still on? It was an HBO Showtime. Played by Forrest Whitaker. Oh my God. Powerful show. I believe Rick Ross is singing the intro theme. Bumpy Johnson was close, not just to the five families, but to Charles Luciano. I'm going to say something that's radical. Bumpy Johnson was poisoned. I said it, he was you won't see that in American Gangster. A deeper series on Bumpy Johnson. As powerful as he was as the godfather of Harlem, but he was still a slave in the hands of the Cuban Mafia, the Marielito crime family out of Italy and out of Cuba.
Woo!
Who created the Drug Council? We're told a Harlem gangster, a man by the name of Nicky Barnes. Can I teach, Pastor Sam? We're told that in 1972, Nicky Barnes created the Drug Council, but in reality, it was the CIA that supplied Nicky Barnes with money to start the Drug Council. Along with Guy Fisher, Wallace Rice, Louis Dow, and Frank Lucas.
And no, I hate to, I'm sorry, brother.
See what I'm doing?
I'm sorry, I had to be the nigga to break the bad news.
Exposing this global Luciferic system, your hip-hop crime syndicate. The billionaire music mogul Jimmy Levine is a tool of the Gotti family. You thought that John Gotti Sr. died and they poisoned him. That was the end of the Gotti family. No, the Gotti family still exists, especially on Long Island. So the life of Jimmy Levine was controlled by La Cosa Nostra. It gets deeper here.
Oh, shit.
More bloodlines. In 1805, a family out of Austria were slave owners who immigrated to the United States in 1860, 3 years before this fraudulent act, the Emancipation Proclamation. There's an anointing here. The Boss family were Austrian slave owners who immigrated to the state of Alabama, being a part of the Confederacy. The Boss family sold half of their slaves in 1862 because they knew of the impending Emancipation Proclamation. So 2 years later, listen, 1862, the Boss family sold their slaves to a German family called the Laurel family. Laurel, who immigrated out of Bavaria, Germany in 1810 and settled in the states of Alabama and Mississippi. 2 months before the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, the Laurel family that owned slaves, loaned their slaves out of a holiday that was designed by Willie Lynch called Black Friday. People are going crazy over Black Friday. Well, that was designed by Willie Lynch. So you can put a slave on loan, okay? And you as a slave owner could pay each week on the slave. And when you paid the slave off, he was yours. She was yours. They was yours. The Black Friday. That's why folk are going crazy, running over each other in Walmart because of the spirit of Willie Lynch Black Friday. The family that carried on the tradition of the Black Friday was a family out of Rotterdam, South Holland, the Netherlands. That family's name was called the Hawker bloodline. Holker. Through a man by the name of Andries Hawker. Andries, Hawker, Holker, along with Adam Hawker, finally owned slaves that was once belonging to the Austrian family, the Bosses, that was once owned by the Bavarian Germany family, the Laurels, who then sold their slaves 3 months before the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 to the Hawker family, who immigrated to the United States in January of 1863 from Rotterdam, South Holland, the Netherlands. Boss, Laurel Hawker. It's to my understanding, on December 13th, 2022, a young man, a hip-hop dancer, a dance choreographer, an actor, in the middle of the Ellen DeGeneres show, Stephen Laurel Boss, that the system calls T-Rich. Wait a minute. Many times I don't even have time to research. My staff does. So wait a minute. They said, Bishop, I know you're not feeling good today, but please, if you get time, these bloodlines of the Boss family who owned slaves, the last name of T-Rich, a Laurel family, the middle name of T-Rich, sold to the Hawker family that will later produce centuries. A young woman by the name of Allison Hawker, the widow of T-Rich. You are not ready for this. I gotta go. In other words, T-Rich knew something on Ellen DeGeneres. But his wife, Allison Hawker, and her husband, Stephen Laura Boss, had no idea that in their bloodline they were already related. The Bosses, the Laurels, and the Hawkers. Do you think that that is by accident? December 13, 2022, Steve and Laura Boss, T-Witch, the term T-Witch, is also a Greek term meaning to be cursed. Why would he? You see, that's another topic for another day. Born in 1982 in Montgomery, Alabama, hired by Ellen DeGeneres from 2014 to 2022, had questioned Ellen DeGeneres as to why her staging, the background staging of the Ellen DeGeneres show, it looked like Jeffrey Epstein's St. James Island. And then Ellen reacted. I was told, Pastor Sam, there's a video on TikTok right before I'm not going to call him T-Witch, right before Brother Stephen's death. Pastor Jabari, he knew he was going to die. He was told, either sacrifice one of your children because they felt he disrespected Ellen DeGeneres, or you would die. So the morning of the 13th, he doesn't take his car. He walks to the Oak Tree Motel in Encino, California. Allison Hawker is a Rockefeller. Oh my Lord, I did not know that. You see, she knows what happened. I'm not accusing her. So on the backdrop of Ellen DeGeneres show showed paintings of Jeffrey Epstein, St. James Island, and the name of Ellen DeGeneres is on the flight manifest where she visited the island multiple times. What did Brother Stephen know? NH, have we seen the movie on Lifetime concerning exposing child trafficking? No. NH, you guys get an opportunity. I did a 2, maybe 3-part series on the assassination of NH. She was not drunk. She was not high. She was not on crack or drugs. She knew too much, but through the CIA's Vault 7 program, her car was hijacked. Okay. And she crashed into a home.
That's crazy.
That down the street from the crash was a golf course that one of her best friends almost died in a helicopter, Harrison Ford. Okay. So when she was in the car, NH, instead of taking her out, they were pushing her in. Then they take her behind some bushes. See?
Yep, that's who we talking about.
Who were the firemen? According to my contacts, none of these firemen work for the Los Angeles Fire Department.
That's crazy.
Who were they? So they took on the stretcher. They had the sheet over her and she got up. Was she burnt? No, she wasn't burnt.
Oh my
This
God.
Rothschild mafia throughout because she was exposing Ellen DeGeneres. Like Stephen Boss was exposing her because of Ellen's connection to the trafficking of men, women, and children.
Very raw.
Bono
Raw truth.
To And
You know what
guess
I'm
who
saying? A
else
lot of
was
people
wrong?
can't take that.
Dr. Dre was exposing what NH was exposing. Then all of a sudden, Dr. Dre ends up in a hospital
That's
with
crazy.
an aneurysm. So he had to give millions of dollars to his ex-wife, whose maiden name is the Plotzker bloodline. That was the real last name of the designer of the 1981 Georgia Guidestones. R.C. Christian's real name was R.C. Plotzker, in the same bloodline of the ex-wife of Dr. Dre. You can't make these connections. And they say in Pastor Jabari, well, NH died at the hospital. No, she was already dead before she got there. It's like Eddie Gray in Baltimore, who was a drug runner for the Baltimore Police Department, and 30% of the cops in Baltimore were on the take, working for the CIA out of Langley. Okay? Those cops killed Freddie Gray because they owed him drug money, just like those devils in Minneapolis owed George Floyd drug money.
Very raw. Very
George
raw.
Floyd, he's 6
raw
foot 6
truth.
and a half. The coffin is for a man or a woman who's 6'1¼ How does a man shrink like that? I'm not making fun of the situation. Something is wrong in my conclusion. The bloodline of Jeffrey Epstein goes back to a slave owner out of Cologne, Germany, named David Epstein.
That's crazy.
Whose family immigrated to New York City in the year of 1902. In my conclusion, the Oak Tree Hotel, where Brother Stephen gets up, he walks because they told him, Pastor Sam, if you don't come to us, we will come to your house. He was a Luciferic sacrifice. But guess who owns the Oak Tree Hotel? The same corporation that owned the Hacienda Hotel back in '68 that found the body of Sam Cooke. Wait a minute now. So both the Hacienda Hotel, Sam Cooke in 1928, 1968. The Hacienda Hotel in 1968 is owned by the same corporation of the Oak Tree Hotel in Encino, California. What's the corporation that owns that? A group out of Chicago called the Mormon Group. M-A-R-M-O-N. Who owns the Mormon Group? Glad you asked. The governor of the state of Illinois, Jay Pritzker. I'm not blaming him. You see, to get to the money, you got to follow the bloodlines. To get to the family, to get to the money. So when Brother Stephen got to the hotel, no one heard gunshots because there was a silencer. And there were people at the hotel, according to my contacts, that really did not work for the hotel. They were assassins because they wanted him silent. And that is my end tonight. After 3 hours, 32 minutes, and 30 seconds of the global system of the hip hop crime syndicate. And I think my staff, all they do is research. I got 3 people who take care of my speaking engagements. The rest of them, the 22, they're nothing but researchers. It is not by accident that Allison Hawker married Stephen Laurel Boss. thank you for being with the bishop tonight. And listen, I am going to take a break next week to get my body together and my throat, okay? And I thank you all, you guys. Thank you for
Yo, shout out to the Bishop Larry Elders. I thought that was a pretty good something to share with the tribe, share with the family. You know what I'm saying? Get your insight. You know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't gonna drag this out too long. It was long enough. You know what I'm saying? Leave your comments down below. You know what I'm talking about? This is part 1. I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna show some other stuff, and we're gonna dig down into this hip hop and see why all these brothers and sisters is dying for real, for real. Shout out once again to Bishop Larry Elders and the Global Spiritual Revolution Media Group. Shout out to them. And yo, I see you, Grateful. I see you, Willie Jones. See Roberts and Jeannie. I see y'all, man. Thank you very much for being here. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I ain't gonna drag it out too long, man. I just wanted to drop something on my series, you know what I'm saying, called the spiritual war called hip hop. Let me pull up my banner. I need to be able to do this correctly. Here you go. The spiritual war called hip hop. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff behind it. You know what I'm saying? So with that, you know what I'm saying? With that, let me see. What am I doing? Yeah, I guess I could do it this way. Yeah, let me do it this way. Yeah. Might as well do it this way. Here we go. You know what I'm saying? Yo. And with that, we'll go ahead and we'll call this out. Peace to everybody.
It's the go.
Hey, don't forget to go to DJ Kuttack 1, hit the subscribe button and the like button.
Cut, you killing them. I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Man, it forget to be aboriginal. 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 Actions ain't the same no more. Don't give a fuck about their name no more. Man, it forget to be aboriginal. 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 I'm from the hood. I'm still waking up my people.
That's right.
When it comes to fashion, the whole world wanna be like us. How you gonna refute that? How? Man, it forget to be aboriginal. 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 When it comes to music, the whole world wanna be like us.